Untold Stories, another episode with Zoubida.
Don't know, big up MistaRax, big up MistaRax TV.
Big up.
So, boom, I wanted to talk about my foster care experience, how I ended up in foster care, my experience in foster care, and how many homes I've been in. So, when I first entered foster care, I was 12 years old. I was in high school. I went to Harlington Community School in West London in Hyde. And there was a lot of issues happening at home and stuff. And so the school decided to intervene, and they said, you know what, we want to put you in foster care. We want to put you in emergency placement. Now, the teacher that put me in foster care, if you guys are aware of Little Mix, yeah, the female band, the girl called Leanne, it was her mother. So her mother used to work as a child protection officer in my high school, and she's obviously Leanne from Little Mix's mother. So she said, right, we want to put you in foster care. So at that time, I was only 12 years old. I was, scared. I didn't understand what was happening. I felt like guilty that I betrayed my mum, and they said to me, you're not allowed to tell nobody, you can't speak about it to anybody. And I was in my school uniform, and I thought, I haven't got any clothes, I haven't got anything. And they said, don't worry. So they said, we're gonna find an emergency placement. So we waited for about a couple of hours, and they said, right, we found you a placement. So they took me in a car. Like I said, I'm in my school uniform, and I have no toothbrush, no nothing with me. And we went to North Acton, knocked on the door, and this Eritrean woman answered, and they kind of said, welcome to your new home and stuff like that. And because when I was living with my family, I've got 4 younger sisters, we all used to sleep together. I never really had my own room. So when I came there and they presented me my own room, I thought, right, okay, first time I've got my own little room.
Well, how old were you?
I was 12.
Oh, okay.
I was 12 years old. And so they welcomed me. There was a really, really good family. Like I said, they were from Eritrea. They were Muslim as well. And she had about 8 of her own kids, but they were all quite older. So the first day I got there, I was really nervous. I was really scared. I didn't understand what was happening. I was just thinking about my family. My mum doesn't know where I am. And they said, you can't tell your mum. We all speak to her, but you can't have any contact with her. And I was thinking my staff and whatever. So I got to that placement. They welcomed me. They was very nice with me. And I stayed there for about 6-7 months. And in my head, I thought to myself, that's it. Because my father was in hospital at the time. He was basically dying. He had suffered his 3rd stroke. So he was trying to recover from his 3rd stroke. So I had lost a parent in my eyes from that side. And then I had this issue with my mum and my sisters. So I just felt completely alone at that point. I thought, I don't care about the world. When you're young, fuck the world. My dad's dying. My mum don't want me. So I started going out with friends and staying out for a couple of days. That's when I first started smoking cigarettes and smoking weed and started drinking. And the first time I got arrested, I was 13 years old. So social services obviously thought, right, we've moved her to this placement. She's clearly not behaving. She keeps on running away. She's not coming back. We don't know where she is, because every time I would go out, I wouldn't come back, and they'd have to report me to the police and say that I'm missing. So one day, I was in my foster placement around 8 in the morning. I got a knock on my door, and it was the social worker. And the social worker came in and she said, what's been going on, Zoubida? You haven't been at the placement. We don't know where you are. What's the problem? And I kind of explained. I said, look, I'm not happy here and I don't want to be here and stuff like that. So she said, right, well, we're going to move you to Hastings. I said, Hastings? And I've never heard of Hastings in my life. I said, I ain't going to no Hastings. She goes, oh, yes, you are. And behind her, there were 2 escorts, 2 securities who escort children from placement to placement. So when I saw them, I thought, these are taking me by force. So I was really upset. I was really pissed off. The foster carer started crying as well, because she felt like it was unfair. And I had one man grab me from here, another man grab me from here, and they escorted me to the car while the social worker packed all my stuff. And these times, I was still going to high school. I was in year 8, and I was calling all my friends. I was like, look, they're moving me. And I was saying goodbye to all my people, and they're taking me far away and whatever. So we were in a car. We drove about, I think, 3-4 hours until we got to Hastings. And when I was in the car, obviously eventually I'd calm down, but when I'm in the car, somebody's sitting this side, somebody's sitting that side, like in case I run away. Even if I wanted to go to the toilet, they'd have to escort me to the toilet. So when I pulled up to the placement now, we were driving, and we were driving up to this like large mansion. And even the people that were escorting me, they said, wow, like we've never escorted somebody to such a place like this. And in my head, I'm thinking, I don't care. Like, I don't care if it's a mansion. I don't want to be here at the end of the day. We got to this really large house on top of this hill. It was basically a mansion. And there was this white couple waiting outside. And when I come out, you know, I'm very like young from London. I'm moody, like, and they're all hugging me, say, welcome to our home. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm thinking like, there's no welcome. Yeah, I don't want to be here. I don't know you. You're not my mum. You're not my dad. And the woman, her name was Maria. To be honest, she was a very, very, very lovely woman. And they took me to my room. And this time it was a double room. It was a large room. Like, I never had this whole space to myself. She had 3 of her own children, one that was around my age and 2 younger children. And then she had her husband. And I was there for about 3 to 4 months. My experience there was okay. Her husband was what I didn't like. So basically, one day, me and him had got into a disagreement and I kind of walked off. I said, fuck off, and I walked off. And he grabbed me by my arm and he goes, who are you talking to? And I said, don't touch me. And that's what kind of sparked it off, because they said, look, we don't think this placement is working. And I was their first ever foster child. They had never fostered before. So I was their first foster child. And after that, apparently, the mother fell sick. Maria, the foster mother, fell sick. So therefore, she had to be put in hospital. Her husband had to go cater to her, and her own kids had to stay with friends. And because I was a foster child, I had to stay in another emergency placement. So I was there for about 3 to 4 months. This is my second foster placement. And they said, right, until Maria gets better, yeah, you're going to have to go somewhere else. So they put me with this mixed race woman. I forgot her name. And she had her own daughter, and she had another foster girl as well living with her who was about 18, 19. Now, these times, I'm from London, yeah? I'm in this countryside area. It's by the beach. I don't really understand what's going on. I felt completely out of place. Like, I'm far from my friends. I'm far from my family. I don't know anybody here. And I'm just lashing out at everybody. So whilst I was with this mixed race woman, I was just giving her hell, to be honest. You know, every day arguing with her, every day running away, didn't want to stay with her. And then eventually, my social worker called me and said to me, your mum wants you to come back. So I said, yes, I want to go back to my mum. I want to get the hell out of here. And she said, you know, your mum's called. She wants you to come back to live with her. You know, it's up to you. Do you want to stay here? Do you want to come back? I said, I want to come back. So that's what they did. So altogether, I was in Hastings for about 6 months, I would say. Then I came back to my mum's house to live in London. The first day I came back, it was really, really awkward because I'm the oldest out of 5 girls. And since I left, my younger sister kind of took the place of the elder sister. And they were not used to me being there, and I felt like the lack of respect as the elder kind of left. You know, when I came there, things were completely different. I didn't have that sort of authority as the elder sister. And whilst I was there for about 2 weeks until I got kicked out again. So basically, these times I started smoking cigarettes, and my mom didn't know about it. And I put my cigarettes in my bag, and my sister went through my bag, and she was just wandering, trying to find something, because she found the cigarettes. And so one day we were sitting downstairs and she said, Mom, everybody, listen. I've got something to show you guys. Look what I found. And she went in my bag and pulled out my cigarettes. Now, this is a secret that I was hiding from my family. So obviously I lashed out, and me and my sisters got into a fight. And my mum said, right, you're out. That's it, you're out. And in my head, I felt so hard done by, because I came there, I wanted to be with my family, and I felt like my family were trying to push me away, you know, going through my stuff and trying to, you know, basically expose me and embarrass me in front of my mum. Like, I'm ashamed to tell my mum I smoke cigarettes. And it was because of my sister that she pulled out the cigarette and said, look, she's smoking. And obviously that made things a lot worse. So me and my sister got into a fight, and I just walked out the house and I ran away. And then whilst I was out with a couple of friends in Hayes, West London, I got a call from the social worker and said, look, I've just heard what's happened between you and your sister. Your mum's not impressed, so she doesn't want you back to the property. And when my mum said to me, I'm kicking you out, I thought I'd go out and come back. But when the social worker called me and said, no, your mum actually doesn't want you back, you're going to have to go back into foster care again, you know, I was pissed off. And then afterwards she said, look, wherever you are, just stay there for a little bit. I'm going to find you another placement, and I'm going to call you when it's ready. So I'm sitting there at the train station with my friends, you know, like, trying to pass time, and she calls me. She said, right, I found you a placement. I said, right, how am I going to get there? She said, go to the cab station. I'm going to give you an address, and you give the address to the cab driver, and when you get there, ask for this person. So these times I've got no stuff with me. It's like 8 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm thinking, fuck's sake, whatever. So I go to the cab station. I'm saying, boss, can you take me to this address, please? I get to the address. I'm like on my own. I knock on the door, and this Jamaican woman answered the door. And I said, hi. This is exactly what I said. Hi, I'm your new foster child. And she said, what's your name? I said, Zoubida. Who? I said, Zoubida. And she kind of called up and looked, okay, come inside. So I was like, cool. I came inside, you know, this is a Jamaican Christian lady. Her name was Angela. She was about in her 60s. And she had 2 other foster girls that she was fostering. And I want to speak about these girls. One of them was from the Philippines, and she was about 19. And the other one was from Pakistan. She was 18. And both of these girls had some really, really troubling backgrounds. And these times I'm about 13 years old. I've always grown up being the oldest, but in these sort of situations, I've become the youngest. You know, I'm living with 2 older females. And these, like I said, these lot were Christians. And to be honest, there's 2 good foster carers that I can remember, and Angela was one of them. You know, she was like the mother that I never had. You know, she was in her 60s. She's been fostering for 20 years. She had her stepdaughter called Merle as well, who was a very tough Jamaican woman. I mean, one time I ran away and I got a message from Merle, and I read it the way she would say it. And it was like, where the hell are you? Come back to the house now. And I was reading it as if she was saying it, because that's how she came across. And as I'm reading it, I'm feeling the heat. I'm getting scared. And one of the girls that I live with, who was from Pakistan, I asked her, I said, why are you here? You know, what's happened to you? And she said, basically, she grew up in Pakistan, and her father and her uncle were basically physically abusing her. I think one time she said she got an eyebrow piercing, and her uncle ripped it out of her hair, out of her eye. And then another time, her father and her mother had divorced. And because her mother owned the property was in her name, the father wanted the property. So what the father did is he ordered some hitmen to kidnap the mother and cut her body up and throw her in the river. So afterwards, when the body was, because her mother went missing, nobody knew where her mother was, and somebody found these remains in a river. And she said to me, she saw her mother's remains pieced together in a newspaper, and that's how she was able to identify her own mother. I thought, wow, like, that's crazy. And she said her father used to beat up her mother, strip her naked, and just chuck her out the house for everybody to look.
What was that?
Sorry?
About that chopping up? What?
So that was in, the girl that I live with, her name, I forgot her name, but when she was in Pakistan, her father chopped up her mother because her father divorced her mother, and because the mother owned the property, the father wanted the property. So he said, the only way I'm going to inherit this property is if I get rid of the mother. So he ordered some people to kidnap her and cut her body up. And they put her body in a plastic bag and threw it in the river. And somebody found the body, and that's how the girl, she said, I saw my mother cut up but put together, and that's how I was able to identify my own mother. So she said after that, she migrated to England, and she sought refuge here. And then when I was there, towards the end of my placement there, she was about 3-4 months pregnant. And then that girl, the Pakistani girl and the Filipino girl, one time they also got into a fight. And I was like 13 years old. I can hear them 2 fighting. Then Angela comes out. Her husband comes out, you know, trying to stop the fight. And then obviously I was about still 13 years old this time. And in my head, after my mum kicked me out, just when I came back to my mum, I hadn't seen my dad for like 6 months whilst I was in Hastings. So when I came back to my mum, she said to me, look, you need to go see your dad because you haven't seen him for about 6 months. I said, all right, fine, I'll go and see him. So I came to the care home that he was living at. He was in a very bad state. He was in a wheelchair. You know, my dad was a very stocky person, but I could see his bones, his face was sagging. He was being fed by a pipe through his stomach. He was wearing a nappy. He could only move the right hand of his side, couldn't talk. So obviously I went to see him and, you know, I'm, Dad, how are you? And just no reaction. And then after that, I got kicked out. So when I was at Angela's, Angela called me. Angela knocked on my door and she said to me, Zoubida, your mum wants to speak to you. I said, I don't want to speak to her. Like, she kicked me out, innit, over the cigarette situation. I don't want to speak to her. She goes, no, it's important. You need to speak to your mum. I'm saying, I don't want to speak to her. What does she want to speak to me about? She goes, no, it's very important. So I said, all right, cool, put her on the phone. I'm like, hello. And my mum was like, yesterday your dad passed away. And I said to her, you're joking, right? She goes, why would I joke about something like that? She goes, your dad passed away. And I literally put the phone down. And that was the last time I saw my dad. So I was in Hastings for 6 months, came back to my mum, saw my dad, and about 2 weeks later, my dad had passed away. And I didn't go to the funeral because I didn't want to see my family. I was still upset with my mom, with my sisters. You know, I just didn't have it in me to face them, especially in this sort of circumstances. So at that point in my life, I thought, fuck everybody, fuck everything. Like, my dad's passed away. Me and my mum don't get along. My sister snaked me. I just thought, fuck everything. So I started hanging around with the same crowd again. You know, going out, going to parties, drinking alcohol, getting into fights, going missing for days on days. And then the same thing happened to me again. I got a knock on my door from the social worker. Zoubida, what's been going on? I've been out and about. I've been staying at a friend's house. Like, I've just been doing what I'm doing. She said, right, well, we're going to move you to Devon. And I thought to myself, not again. Devon. I said, I'm not going to no Devon. Behind her, 2 escorts as usual. Put me, each one by the side, getting in the car, packed all my stuff, put it in the car. And we drove about 6 hours to Devon, and we got there at night time. And as we're driving to Devon, we're going through some countryside areas, we're going through the woods, we're getting more and more out of the city, we're more and more into the countryside. And I thought at that moment of time, I felt like I was being kidnapped. Like, that's how I felt. I don't know these people. They're taking me to this far away area. I'm by myself. I just felt like I was being kidnapped. So we get to the placement, and it's basically a farm. Yeah, it's this big house, this big farm. And this time, it's not a foster home, it's a care home. So this is the first care home that I've ever been in. So far I was with the Eritrean family, I was with the white woman in Hastings, I was with the mixed race woman in Hastings, and I was with the Jamaican woman in Hillingdon. That's 4 placements. This is my 5th. So, and I'm only 13 these times. So I get there, and it's a bunch of girls. And I'm thinking, oh my days, like, what is this? And I'm looking at this farm, I see horses, I see pigs, I see sheep. I said, you know, where am I? So I come there, and one of the girls, her name was Mary Lou. She was an Irish gypsy girl. And she said to me, you know, do you smoke? I said, yes. And she bought me tobacco. And these times, I don't smoke tobacco. I smoke cigarettes. I'm from London. So she gave me tobacco. I'm like, what the fuck is this? She goes, you have to roll it and rare-tear-tear. And she's helping me roll and whatever. And then this other girl called Sophie, who's from Cornwall, came to me, and she bought me some magazines and bought me some sweets. And she said, look here, you know, welcome. And she bought me all this stuff. And then they warned me about this other girl called Kaylee, who was autistic, but she was very violent. And they said, look, and we know you're new to the placement, but the girl that lives with us, just be careful of her, because she has random outbursts and stuff like that. And even when I did meet Kaylee, she was very hesitant to speak to me. You know, she didn't want to speak to me. I said, all right, cool. So in this care home, it was me, Mary Lou, Sophie, and Kaylee, 4 girls. And then they took me to my room. You know, it was a little single room. It was all painted pink and all these pink accessories and stuff like that. So I was like, cool. In that care home, there is 1 staff for every child. So everybody is being supervised 24/7. And we didn't go to normal school. So from Mondays to Fridays, every day, we had to go to the on-site school. And my care home was called Loyalty House. There was another care home, which where the school was at. So when we have to go to school, we'd link up with the other girls in the other care home. And there was about 2 care homes, about 4 kids in each care home. So altogether, there's about 12 girls. About 2 of them were actually from my area. One girl called Shanice, one girl called Ellie. They were both from London. And some of the girls were from Essex, and some of the girls were from the local areas. Every day was a madness. Like, imagine you're with girls from the ages of 13 to 16. I was the youngest girl in that care home, but I was the most reckless in that care home. Like, I came there with this London slang vibe. So I started teaching them all these slang words and getting everybody hyped up and getting everybody excited. And one day in the school, we decided to run away. And I said, I'm going to run away to London. I said, I ain't staying here. I'm running away to London. So me and Sophie, the girl that I told you about, Sophie, who was 2 years older than me, we was in the school, and we started kicking off from the school. We started, you know, throwing stuff around and messing up the place. And, you know, the staff were restraining us. So when you're naughty in those care homes, the staff, they have the right to restrain you and put you on the floor. But a lot of the staff abused that. You know, there was one time where this black girl called Abigail, she was being restrained by a man in a room which was, the light was closed. So I went mad. I said, if you're don't restrain the young girl if she's in a room by herself. And the guy was not having it. You know, I've seen kids get pinned to the floor. There's been kids that have been put in straitjackets. I've seen kids get arrested in that care home. And obviously, I'm living with these people. I see these people as my sisters. So when I see 4 or 5 members of staff pinning these lot to the floor, and the kids screaming, the kids saying, get off me, get off me, get off me. And they're like, no, we won't get off until you calm down. That used to aggravate me a lot. You know, and I never put myself in a situation where I would be restrained. I would just kill them with words, because the moment you're aggressive, they have the right to touch you. But I never ever started kicking off to the point where I'd give them an excuse to touch me. Only one time ever was I restrained. and that was by 4 members of staff. And I was kicking off and I attacked them and they all had to hold me down. So anyway.
How many people were in that foster home?
So in that care home altogether there's about 12 girls.
Care home.
And there was 3 houses. So in each house there's 4, and about 3 in my one. And it kept on changing. Girls would stay there for 6 months, then you'd have a new one coming in, then new ones coming in. So anyway, I decided to run away with Sophie. And what had happened is we were kicking off in the school, and then we decided to just walk away from the placement. Now, when she was kicking off in the school, she kicked all her shoes off, so she was walking bare feet. And I'm saying to her, look, where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? I'm saying, look, do you want to go to London? She goes, okay. And this girl's never left the countryside. She's from Cornwall, yeah, so she's never been to London. So I'm saying, all right, cool. So we're walking. This girl was barefoot, bear mind, yeah. So I thought, right, we got to get you some shoes. So we knocked on this woman's door and we said, excuse me, have you got spare shoes? She ain't got no shoes. So she gave us some granny shoes and I said, right, at least you got something on your feet. And then we were in some area called, what was it called? Wellington or something like that. Taunton in Devon. So we had to hitchhike. So every time we'd run away, because there's no buses, we'd have to stand on the street and hitchhike. And any person that would come and say, excuse me, can you take us to the nearest town? And the nearest town was Taunton. And that was the only place where a train was to take you straight to London. So me and her got to Taunton and she thought, all right, I'm wearing these dusty shoes. I want to get some nice shoes. So she went into New Look. She chucked those shoes away and put on some new shoes. She basically stole some shoes. I'm like, cool, let's get to Taunton. I'm calling my friends on, who remembers that 101 reverse, that 101 mum and dad reverse, when you're basically trying to call your mum and dad and it's a free call. So I kept on using that to call my friends. I'm like, yo, I'm coming down to London. Make sure you lot meet me. Make sure you lot meet me. So the train's coming from Taunton and it's going to land in London Paddington. They're talking about 2.5 hours. I said, right, this is our train. We get onto the train and we hid in the toilet because obviously ticket inspectors. And it's just me and her in the toilet. The toilet's very small. So every like half an hour, me and her had to keep on switching. So one would sit on the toilet seat, one would sit on the floor. The other would sit on the toilet seat, the other one would sit on the floor. We kept on switching and I'm still listening for London Paddington. It was about 3-4 stops before we got to London Paddington. And these time is going by. We're sitting in this toilet. My legs are cramped. You get it? Like, it's very tight space. Eventually, I hear London Paddington. I said, look, we're here. So, obviously, we get out of London Paddington. We jumped over the barriers, went to the other side and jumped on the train to West Drayton. Get to West Drayton. My friends were all waiting for me. They're all coming up to me. Zoubida, you're mad. Oh, my God. Like, everyone's showing it on BBM. Zoubida's back. And then after that, we went and chilled with my friends. And this is, like, I was kept on looking at the girl because this is one white English girl, yeah, and I'm with, like, a couple Jamaicans, Somalian people. You know how London are very crazy. And she just was embracing it, you get it? Like, she started talking to everybody and we all started drinking and partying and whatever. And everyone was just shocked that I made it back to London. And then the next day, because they sent out a search party against us, the foster carers called the police and the police caught us at Paddington Station. And then from there, they said, right, we're going to have to take you back to your placement. So the police escorted us to Bristol. That's as furthest as they can go because, they don't want to take us all the way back to Devon. And the foster carers met us in Bristol. And we got in the car. The foster carers were pissed off. And what they've done is they opened all the windows. We're tired now. They opened all the windows and played classical music on 100 all the way back to the placement in order to punish us. Yeah, so we're sitting there, we're tired, we want to sleep. These motherfuckers got the windows open. They're playing classical music for an hour. And like, they weren't having none of it. So we got back to the placement and basically we was both punished. Another time happened where me and Kaylee, we basically robbed the care home. So we wanted to run away again. And in the care home, there's an office. And in that office, there's a safe. And that safe includes all of our savings. So I'm analysing this office and me and this girl Kaylee, because she's the biggest in the care home and the most strongest, yeah, I thought, right, I'm going to use Kaylee to help me open this thing. So I'm saying, Kaylee, look, we're going to rob the office, yeah? So we've been planning this for months. So we've got to kick that door open, like whatever. So about 3-4 months later, because the staff were outnumbered, there was less staff than less kids. So what Kaylee done is she went outside and she got a rock and she started scratching up the car. So therefore, that made all the staff leave the care home and go to the car and take pictures of the damage. So the house was empty. I said, look, Kaylee, the house is empty. Now was our chance. So these are all inspecting the car, looking at the damages that she's done. They're taking pictures of the damages. I'm like, Kaylee, let's go. So after that, we started to boot the door like 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, the door opened. So She held the door. I went straight into the safe. I grabbed like 3-4 envelopes. I said, right, let's go. I started putting them down. I said, like, let's go, let's run. So we ran away. Obviously, like I said, when we run away, the nearest town is about half an hour, 40 minutes away. So we're standing there, we're in the countryside, we're hitchhiking, trying to stop any car. Excuse me, are you going to Clumpton? Yeah, can you take us there, please? And it was very dangerous as well. You know, we could have got kidnapped. Anything could have happened to us, but we were just not thinking about that. We just want to get away from this place. So we get into the car, my man drops us off to Clumpton, and then we start analysing the amount of money that we had. And altogether, I would say it's about £500, yeah? But obviously, when you're 13 years old, you think, like, £500, you get it? So, obviously, we're all in the town buying cigarettes, buying alcohol. We're meeting so many people, we're giving them money and whatever. And then, if you remember Sophie, the girl that I ran away to London with, by this time, she'd been kicked out of the care home. She's gone to another care home, but I was still in contact with her. So I called up Sophie. I said, look, sis, me and Kaylee have just robbed the care home. And where are you? So we went to meet up with Sophie. And these times, like I said, Kaylee was a very vulnerable young girl. Yeah, she had autism. And I felt really bad that she was with me in this situation at that time. Because obviously, when we met up with Sophie, Sophie was with a boy. She was with her boyfriend, and there was alcohol and stuff like that. I said, look, Kaylee, I'm going to have to get the staff to come pick you up because I don't think this is safe for you. So I called the staff. I said, look, I'm at Exeter Station. I'm not coming back, yeah? But I'm going to leave Kaylee here, yeah? And she'll be waiting for you at the station. Come and pick her up. And they say, Zoubida, all right, but can you please come back? I said, I'm not coming back. Don't worry about me. But I'm going to leave Kaylee here. Make sure you lot get Kaylee. And I said, look, that's it. She's at Exeter Station. I cut off the phone. And I sat with Kaylee. I said, Kaylee, so you're going to stay here, yeah? The staff are going to come to get you. Don't talk to anybody. In that moment, I felt so guilty. I felt so bad. You get it? Because I dragged this girl into it. And I had to leave her. And I thought, if anything happens to this girl, it's going to be on my head. You know, in these times, like I said, I'm 13. Kaylee was like 2 years older than me. She was about 15. And like I said, she's a bit autistic. Her mind is of a younger child. I said, Kaylee, you're going to stay here. Don't go anywhere. Don't speak to anybody. The staff are coming to get you. So just make sure you look out for the staff, all right? And I just left her. And me and Sophie and the other people went away. And we drank and we done whatever. And then by that time, most of the money was gone. I think I saved about £100. And then I came back the next day and I was actually charged with burglary. I actually got arrested and they charged me for burglary because technically that's the way it was. And then obviously, luckily, they did find Kaylee. They did take her back home. And then about a week or two later, I started a riot in the care home. I was with Mary Lou, the Irish gypsy girl, and I was with Shirley, one Essex girl. And we started kicking off in the placement. We was having a war with the staff. You know, we started jumping on the car. We got the hose pipe, started hose piping everybody. And a lot of it was due to frustration, you know, because some of the staff, the way that they treated us was like animals, yeah? Like, when I do something bad, I remember a staff would constantly mention my dad. He goes, oh, your father would be really proud of you, wouldn't he? Yeah, what do you think your father would think? You know, trying to play with me psychologically. A lot of inappropriate comments were said by a lot of staff to the point where I personally reported them to child protection and I got accused of lying. You know, I felt like a lot of derogatory comments were made towards me. I was, you know, being targeted and isolated. You know, a lot of the staff tried to turn a lot of the kids against me. They kept on putting me in isolation. They didn't want me to integrate with the other kids. And, you know, I was there for a whole year. Eventually, till they said, look, enough is enough. Like, we can't continue to have you in this placement. You're causing too much problems. You're causing too much drama. So they said, right, we're moving you to Derbyshire. Now, I'm in the south of England. These lot are moving me all the way to the north of England. So they took me, and these times I was willing to go. Like, I've been in this care home for a whole year with all these girls. You know, I'm sick and tired of living here. Like, every day it was just a drama, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I was just, this placement I didn't fight against. I was like, cool, move me. So they moved me all the way to Derbyshire. And as they're dropping me off, one of the managers of the Devon care home was crying. And I couldn't believe it. You get me? Like, she was sad to see me go. Because even though I had so much problems and stuff, I made a lot of friendships there. You know, I learned a lot there. And I had good times there as well, you know. There were certain positive aspects to it, but there was also negative aspects to it, you know. So when they moved me to this care home in Derbyshire, it's up north, you get me, you know, the northerners, and it was a boys and girls care home. So these times I'm dealing with little boys now, yeah. So when I first got there, I'm thinking, rah, like, what is this? It looked like a prison, and this was a next level before a secure unit. So basically on our doors, we had alarms. So at night time, if anyone wanted to go out to piss, yeah, the alarm would go off. The staff used to sleep in the house, yeah. So when I got there, the first guy that I met, his name was Shay. He was one mixed race boy from Watford. Obviously closer to London, we had the same mentality, and me and him got along, and we became like close brothers and sisters. Like that was like my brother. You get it? He's what kept me surviving in that place. And the way this care home would work is there's, I think, 7 kids in that house. They wouldn't allow 7 kids to be in that house at once. So they'd have to put 2 kids on camp. And what camp would basically mean is that we would stay in like tents, we would stay in bunk houses, we would stay in cottages to balance out the ratio. You know, they wouldn't have 7 kids all at once in one house. So 5 would stay in the actual property and 2 would be on camp. So, you know, if you were bad and you were on camp, they'd make you stay in tents. But sometimes camp would be a reward. So if you were good, you can choose what friend you want to go with and what member of staff you want to go with, and they'd let you stay in nice placements. In that care home, you were allowed to smoke 5 cigarettes a day, every 3 hours. So one at 9, 12, 3, 6 and 9. But you had to have permission from your family. Now, my mum was not signing that. Yeah, and when I think about it, even though I was pissed off, I thought, yeah, that's true. Like, my mum cares about my health. Like, who's going to sign for their 14-year-old child to smoke? But I had the most cigarettes in that property because, you know, I'm not going to snitch, but a lot of the staff used to bust me 2, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the other kids as well, they'd bust me 2 cigarettes and stuff like that. And then, basically in that care home, it's like prison, you know, there's someone that runs the wing. And there was this girl called Pom, this Ethiopian girl who was much older than everybody. And she basically used to run that care home because of her reputation. She previously had beef with one girl. She hotted up the kettle, threw it in her face. Another time she tried to stab somebody. So she was quite notorious in that care home. And everybody bowed down to her, even the staff. So obviously I came there, I'm analysing the situation. I thought, all right, cool, I don't want to step on nobody's toes, but I'm not a victim. So, you know, I kind of became cool with this girl. And then she kind of tested me. She tried to say to me, Zoubida, go make me a peanut butter sandwich. I was like, no. She goes, what? I said, I'm not making you a peanut butter sandwich. She's like, okay. And then she asked another kid and he ran like a dog and done it. So that was the starting point of me and her's beef because I wasn't following commands. And then me and her was in the classroom together and she started trying to pick at me. I said, look, just because I'm not scared like everybody else is, like, doesn't mean you can try it with me. And she goes, okay. And that's when the abuse started. So this girl would, one time I was sitting watching TV and she went, oh, are you watching? I said, no. She goes, I was hoping you said you did so I can turn it off to piss you off. I was like, all right. I'd walk past, scared, bitch, slag, and no staff was doing nothing. The staff did not even talk. One time I'm sitting in my room, she comes into my room and she just stands there and starts looking at me. I'm thinking, is this girl all right? And she'd done it 2 times. So obviously now I'm on the phone to my mum, I'm talking to my mum, she's there calling me names. No staff is getting involved, they're not doing anything about it. So I thought, fuck this. So one day I'm walking out, and as I'm walking out, she calls me a pagan. She goes, dumb pagan. I thought, fuck this. I said, dumb skep. She's like, what? What did you call me? I said, skep. And these times I'm outside the property and she comes charging at me. All the staff are trying to hold her back and she comes charging at me. And she comes approach me, she tries to grab me and I just duck back and I grabbed her by her hair and I swung her to the floor. We're both on the floor. I managed to get up faster than her and I got on top of her and I just started banging her in her face, banging her in her face, banging her in her face. We both got up. I still got hold of her hair and I'm just kicking her and kicking her and kicking her. Now, to everybody, I basically beat the girl up. Yeah, and these times, as we're fighting outside, every kid in the care home is looking out their window seeing what's happening. And I walked off and she's still trying to come at me. So she got beaten up by me and then she's got 4 or 5 members of staff pinning her to the floor. So she basically got violated. And one of the girls in the care home called Faye, she's from Manchester, she goes, do you know, everybody's going to rate you now. Everybody's going to be up your ass. I said, I don't want anybody to be up my ass at the end of the day. Nobody was backing me or standing by me. It took me to actually show you that this girl's not nothing for you to not be scared of her. And after that, that girl chose to leave the care home. She said, look, after her reputation was ruined, and even the other kids were picking at her saying, but you got beaten up by Zoubida and blah, blah, blah. She moved to another care home, so I never saw her again. Another story is there was a new kid in the care home called Joe. He's from London as well. And when he moved in, like, there was speculation as to why he was here. And one of the reasons was he killed somebody. Everyone's saying, oh no, you know why he's here? He killed somebody. So obviously I'm thinking, like, nah, like this guy didn't kill anybody. And eventually I had a conversation with him. I said, look, you know, why are you here? And he was 16 years old, and he said, look, I was with my dad, and there was this drunk man that came and started trying to hassle my dad, so I punched him in the face. And when he punched him, he basically punched him in the wrong spot, and the guy died. So according to him, it was an accident. Whilst he was in the care home, he was fighting like manslaughter, and eventually, you know, he didn't end up doing any time. There was another girl called Natalie, some crazy girl from Brixton. She was half Sudanese, half Irish. The first time she came to the care home, she was a little bit like me. She's like, yeah, you know what, I can rap, you know, put on an instrumental. And she started rapping, but when she was rapping, she was swearing. And you see, when we swear in the care home, you get, it's called a box. So if anyone swears, you get a box. Yeah, so I'm thinking, how come she's allowed to swear? She's rapping, why is she swearing for? And obviously, this time she's new, yeah? So it's like, right, you're not allowed to swear. Even if you're rapping, you can't really be swearing. I'm like, yeah, tell her. But after that, me and her became close because me and her both can speak Arabic. And I also managed to run away with her one time. My mum came down to visit me. And in that care home, you're not allowed to have any money in your hand. So they would have a savings for you. And if you wanted to spend something, they would have to spend it for you. So one time my mum came down and said, look, can you give me £20? But don't tell them, give it to me in my hand. So she gave it to me in my hand. So I called up Natalie. I said, look, I've got £20 in my hand. Let's plan to run away. And because me and Natalie, every time we're together, we always misbehave, and they always used to try and separate us. So I said, look, Natalie, let's behave so that they can let us go out together. So we got to that point, and I said, look, I want to go out with Natalie. We've been good. We haven't got into any trouble. He said, right, okay, cool. As long as you both behave and don't do anything silly. I was like, yeah. So when we went out, I said, look, can you take us to Oldham? And Oldham is literally near the city centre because we lived in Derbyshire. I said, look, can you take us to Oldham? We want to go out in Oldham. So she's like, all right. And there's two staff, one staff for me, one staff for her. And once we got to Oldham, they took us to a park. And I said, look, right, we're in a park. From here to Manchester City is about 20 minutes, yeah? So when the staff are not looking, let's run. So the staff are walking. As they got their back to us, I said, go. We started running. And we started hiding in the bushes for about an hour. As we're in the bushes, we see that the staff are walking around with security. They're trying to get us. They're looking for us and stuff like that. After that, I thought, right, the coast is clear. Let's walk. So we end up walking Oldham town. And if you don't actually know about Oldham, Oldham is actually one of the roughest areas in the whole of the UK. And it's up north. So as we're walking, we see some like white guys and stuff. She goes up to them like, yo, wagwan, I'm from London. What, ever you got a drawer and that? He's like, who are you? Like, where are you from and that? What are you looking for? She's like, no, I just want to get a drawer and that. He goes, how old are you? She's like, I'm 16 years old. I'm a big woman in that. He goes, all right, where are you from then? She's like, I'm from Bricky. I'm like, that's two mad gas, you get it? So obviously he was like, all right, just wait here, I'll come back, I'll get you a drawer and that. So we're waiting, my mum come, got us a little tenner and that. So that's half the money gone. Remember, I got £20, yeah? So that's £10 on the drawer, and we need to get some cigarettes. So she goes in, she managed to get served, and we've got some cigarettes, got a little drawer there. So me and her chilling in Manchester, we're building up a drawer, we're smoking, tear. And then I thought, right, let's get into Manchester City now. So from Oldham, we stopped a bus. Like, they don't use oysters there. So I'm like, boss, listen, I'm from London, I ain't got no... He's like, all right, get on, all right. So we get to the top. This white girl comes on, she's having a little bit of a drink, and she's chatting to us, and we made friends with her. And where are you going? She goes, I'm going to Manchester City, I'm going to go meet my boys and stuff like that. I was like, all right, cool, can we come with you? She goes, yeah, come on. So we get to Manchester City, meet some little kids and stuff like that. And then this Natalie girl, yeah, used to think she could sing. Yeah, she could rap slightly, but she used to think she could sing. And like, I used to purposely tell her to sing just so we can take the piss out of her. Like, she could not sing for shit. So there's this guy in Manchester City, he's busking, he's playing guitar, he's playing music, and she's like in the guy's ear saying, can I sing? So I'm thinking, oh my God, like, you're not gonna sing in front of, and like, there was a big audience. I said, don't do it, please, don't do it. So he allows her on the mic, and she starts singing, and I just felt, I was crying with laughter, because she was like really going for it and shit, like singing some, what was she singing? Russian Roulette by Rihanna. So I thought, oh my God, no way, like, this girl is just too much. After that, we done a little thing, and I said, look, because we wanted to go to London, and it was late, and it was Manchester, and it was just all long, you get it? So I said, look, let's just go back to the placement. And me and her got into an argument. She's like, nah, I want to go to London, I want to go back. I said, look, we're in Manchester, it's different, you know, they got bare security and shit, it's late, we're going to get there at like 1, 2 in the morning, like, just allow it. And anyway, I said, look, I'm going back anyway. So we both went back, and after that, I think that was probably the last time that I saw her again. They never put us together. So fast forward now, I'm about 14 years old. I've been in Devon for 1 year, and I'm in Derbyshire for another year. And afterwards, of being a whole year in Derbyshire, they said to me, right, my mum wanted me back. And these times I had the most devilish social worker you'd ever meet. Yeah, she said to me, if you're good for 3 months, you go back to London. 3 months would pass, now another 3 months, another 3 months. Eventually, till they gave me this white Muslim social worker. Yeah, this white geezer. And he was saying he was Muslim and that. And I was like, and I'm breaking down my story. I said, look, I've been out of London for 2 years now. You know, I just want to go back now. And he was like, all right, don't worry, I'll make it work. And then they asked my mum, and we made an agreement, and my mum took me back. So these times I went back to my mother. I haven't been in London for 2 years. You know, I came back to my mum's, and about a month of us being there, we went back to Algeria. And these times, like, I've been living with all these English people, you get it? Like, I didn't know nothing about Islam. I'm living their culture, you get it? Eating their food. And, you know, Devon and Derbyshire, like one of the most whitest areas here. Nobody ever took me mosque. Nobody introduced me about my faith. So when I came back to my mum and we went back to Algeria, I had like an awakening, you know? I went to stay with my auntie, and she taught me about the deen. She taught me how to pray. She taught me about Judgment Day. And I was so enlightened. I thought, like, I'm back home, you get it? And I came back and I started wearing my headscarf. And I went to high school and everything was going so well. You know, I'm back with my family. And when I first started the high school, the teacher, because she read my records, she didn't give me a fair chance. You know, she was saying, the first day I started, she said to the teacher, Zoubida's been to many schools, so make sure that you watch out for her because she has a pattern of behaviour. And in my head, I'm thinking, yo, like, and these times, this is the first time I've been back to a normal school, yeah? I started this school in year 10. I got kicked out in year 8. I missed 2 whole years of high school. So this is the first time I'm actually in mainstream school again. And it's a big shock to me. And I've been living with crazy kids, and all these kids are a bit more civilized to me, you know? So because they thought that I was, like, slow, they put me in low level classes. At one point, they put me in a class with foreign students who were just, like, in the classes, they were basically learning English. I'm saying, excuse me, I was born in this country. And I had to work my way up to get to the top levels. Until one day I had a disagreement with one of the teachers. And, you know, like I said, I've been living in these institutionalized environments where all I do is rebel. And you're trying to make me, like, you know, be in this system where I'm just supposed to be quiet. So I automatically reacted. And that led to me being expelled. So after I was expelled, things fell apart at home with my mum. You know, fights happened at home, and then my mum called the police on me and said, look, I don't want her here anymore again. So these times I'm with her for 6 months, and that's the longest. Like, these times, the second time I've come back and I'm being kicked out again. So call the police, right, we don't want her anymore, please. Police took me, they put me in emergency placement. I was in Wembley with this Nigerian woman. I was there for about 7 days. And then after that, they put me with one Pakistani family. And these times I'm about 15 years old. I stay with this Pakistani family. It was a couple. They had 3 kids, and I had my own little single room. These times I've been kicked out of mainstream school. They referred me to a Peru a study centre, basically what it's called. And in that study centre, you basically had the worst of the worst. Every kid from West London that got kicked out was there, from Acton High, from Shepherd's Bush, from Ealing, Greenford, Norfolk, like all the guys were there, innit? And these times I'm entering year 11, and I just didn't take anything seriously at this point. Like, no education, no nothing, in and out of foster care. I'm going from place to place, you know. And I tried to take a bit of my last year, year 11, seriously. And then I started meeting with some older people, you know. These times I started getting arrested frequently, you know, for burglary, for assault, for affray, for criminal damage. And I was, at one point I was seeing myself in court like every month, trying to bust case. They put me on tag, and I cut my tag off twice because they put me on tag during the summertime. And I'm thinking, summertime, I want to be out with my friends, I want to go here, I want to go there, and they're making me come back at 7. So I thought, fuck this. I cut my tag off, ran away from the foster placement. I was on a run for like 3-4 months, until one day it just got on top. Like, I was moving from house to house, staying from place to place, you know, just this instability. So I just said to the foster carers, look, I just came there and I said, look, I'm here now, but police are still looking for me. So when I got to the foster placement, they obviously called the police on me in the morning, saying, look, she's here, come and get her. So I'm there, I'm sleeping, I'm in my dressing gown, in my pyjamas, getting knocked on the door, right, Zubaida Ahmed, you're under arrest, you got a warrant out for you, whatever. So they come, they arrest me, literally in my dressing gown, in my pyjamas. I'm at 7 in the morning. Right opposite my foster placement was a high school. Yeah, so all the kids that are going to school are watching me in my dressing gown, being arrested, went to court and stuff like that. And then they released me and put me on tag again. Continued to fuck about, kept my tag on, kept on breaching it. And then I got into a situation with a couple of friends where somebody was hurt, and me and another girl were the only people that were caught. And I was caught whilst breaching my tag, and I was arrested for ABH. So they arrested me and said, hold on, you're breaching your tag and you're out here basically committing ABH. So when they took me in, they bailed out my friend, but because I'm already got a warrant for my arrest, they said, no, we're taking you until Monday morning. And these times I've been arrested so many times, and in my head I'm thinking, now this time I'm definitely going to go, we're definitely going to get remanded because I've been taking the piss for way too long. So Monday morning come, put me on the Serco van, and they took me to Housden Court, and I'm waiting, come to see the judge. The judges weren't having, like, his face was like, you're breaching your tag, you've cut your tag off previously 2 times, you have many offences, you're getting remanded. So these times I'm about 17 years old, and I'm thinking to myself, rah, like, I'm actually going in, and I've bust so many cases before, you know, I'm like, to the point where I'm talking to the judge, I'm saying, look, I will change, I will fix up, I won't do it again, but this time it's done, basically. And so yeah, you're getting remanded. So they took me all the way to Bristol. I was there for about a week, I would say, because I had another court case that I had to go to. So from Bristol, they said, right, you've got your court case coming up, so we're going to have to take you back to London to deal with that. So I'm there for a week. Whilst I was there, it was basically a secure unit called Vinnie Green. Because I was 17, they couldn't put me in a woman's prison, so they put me in Vinnie Green. And Vinnie Green is basically a place it's a secure unit for violent, vulnerable young people. So you had like one boy there was like 13 years old. I'm like, what are you here for? He's like, armed robbery. The girl next door to me was there for armed robbery. I think another kid was there for some sort of murder as well. But obviously, because I was 17, I didn't relate to none of these little kids. I was more chatting to the staff. You know, a lot of the staff, I was chilling with them, whatever. So they said, right, we're taking you to court. You've got to deal with this. I go to court, and they said, right, we're going to charge you with everything. You've got a bit of taste of how it feels like to be inside. We're going to charge you with all your offences and slap you back on tag. After that, I've been in this Pakistani foster placement for 3 years. They are the longest foster placement that has ever taken me. And I stayed there up until I was 18, up until I was pregnant. So when I turned 18, when I was about 3 months pregnant, I was on tag. And then I had to go back to court to deal with this ABH matter, yeah? Because I was still on bail for that. So when I'm about 3 months pregnant, I'm going into court, and they basically put me on tag again. So throughout my whole pregnancy, I was actually on tag. But the only adjustments that they made is they allowed me to have 5 days a week at the foster placement on tag, and then they allowed me to have the weekends at my mum's. So they put a tag machine at my mum's house as well, because I was pregnant, I need to be around my family. After that, you know, I spent 3 years with this foster placement, and they've been through a lot. Like, for them to withstand me 3 years, I mean, you know, before that it was the other care home for a year, a couple of care homes for a couple of months. And when I left, you know, I was genuinely upset, because these times I'm about a month into about giving birth, and I couldn't stay at that foster placement. So they put me in a hostel. And, you know, I think altogether, I think I've been in about 11 foster home placements. And for me, there are kids that need to be placed in foster care, you know. But I think my situation led to a more worse situation, because I had issues happening at home with my family. And I think with the right intervention, yeah, you know, my mum was a single mother struggling with 5 kids, and I was the eldest, and I was going through going through teenagehood. My dad's dying, you know, I was going through my own struggles. I think with the right support and intervention, they could have helped us resolve it. But instead they thought, no, we're just going to take this girl away from her family, which made things a lot worse, to the point where I ended up being in 11 foster homes. I'm still to this day trying to make amends with my family. Now, I don't hate my family. I don't think they're awful people. I just think we just, as people, we clash with our parents, you know. And my mum never physically abused me, or never sexually abused me, and my mum never drank, never smoked. You understand? I think it was just more of my outbursts and my behaviour, and she was just struggling. And I think most parents with young teenagers go through that, but social services never saw it in that way. You know, at one point social services tried to make me hate my mum, you know, and they pushed me away from my family, and they made me feel like I was the scapegoat, you know. And they didn't ever try to fix our relationship. They never sat us down and tried to fix it, you know. It was just them and me, you know. And I think especially in these care homes, to be honest, a lot of the way that the staff treat you is like as if you're in prison. They don't treat you as young teenagers, you know, they treat you as if you're some sort of criminals. And when I've seen a lot of that happen in the care homes, I think being around other kids is what helped me get by, you know, because we're all kids, we're all in the same situation. Like, you know, we unite upon that, you know, like you're in the same situation as me. I met a lot of good brothers and sisters. I mean, I reunited with a couple of them recently that lived with me in my care home. I think care life is it can either go either way, you know. Some people come out of the care home successful and good, and some people come out crazy. You know, I know girls that I live with that got kids now that are really settled. I know a couple of kids that come out that are in prison. I know a couple of kids now that have killed people. I know a couple of kids now that have lost their minds, you know. And I think the care system needs to do a lot more. I think it needs to do more of trying to unite families than breaking up families. And this is what they do. And the care system is one of the most corrupted systems in this country, same as the police system. And I think social services don't understand the impact that they do to people's lives, you know, and these people get paid to do this shit. They get paid to take children away from their families, you know, and that's the sickening part of it. Foster carers as well. You know, there's some foster carers that I live with that I felt like generally done it because they care about me and they care about children. There's other people that do it because they get paid. To be a foster carer is a job in this country, you know. They pay you money to look after somebody else's child, you know. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's my story. Hopefully some other people can relate to it. I'm just being very honest and open because this is real life, you know, this is what people go through. And just because somebody was in care or somebody was in prison does not mean that they can be a successful person. You know, your circumstances definitely don't define you. If anything, I feel like they make you. If I hadn't gone through all of that, I might not be the person I am today, because it's made me mature. It's made me become very independent. It's made me become very strong as well. You know, I had to behave and think like an adult at a very young age. I had to survive from a very young age because I was going through a lot on my own without any guidance, without any, you know, as a teenager, you want that motherly love. You want that motherly, that cuddle from your mum to tell you everything's going to be okay. But I never had that. That's why I became very strong. And, you know, I just hope other people out there that have been in the care system could speak out against their experience and try to make a difference, you know. Try to make a difference to the system, because I know a lot of young people out there that have been in this system and that system definitely hasn't helped them, and I want to make a change to the system because from my experience, this care system is probably one of the worst systems that we got going on in this country. So yeah, big up MistaRax, and
Big up Zoubida.
everyone like and subscribe. You don't know.
Mad story still. So all I gotta say is, like, big up to the people in the care homes, that the good people that are actually doing a good job and helping people and changing lives, you know what I'm saying? And of course, bun the snakes and the fakes.